don't want to take real much time. It's 1:13. I'll shoot for 1:30, but I want to go over what I did for this program. I'm having problems again with the emulator. It's just it sits and sits, and when I try to drag over it, the key on it to get it started, it says system is busy. Do you want to wait or okay? And so we'll see. I thought you might be interested in this. This was in Computer World today. Early iPhone 6 and 6 Plus sales herald big U.S. holiday. No, that's not it. No, maybe that was it. But what's happened is they've overtaken again. iPhones are now in front of Android devices. In the fourth quarter, they took over. It's the first time in 2 years. Now, that doesn't say tablets, but it just said phones. Okay? You may care, you may not care, but I just thought you might want to hear it. So, and what I just gave you, I'm gonna bring up the other one first. So, I promised you this the other day, and I didn't have it finished. This is nothing to look at, but this is that target heart rate when I do a run. This is it as an applet. And the only way that I can get it to run without having it break is it comes up in this size, so I'll have to resize it in a minute. I also put some code at the beginning, so I put it basically in the equivalent of the init routine, and I put in there the only valid ages for the program are numbers 18 through 70 inclusive. Running this program with non-numeric values will cause the program to terminate. Running the program with an input less than 18 or greater than 70 will give you a warning message. All right, so as soon as I click that, then you see the stuff that's in here. Again, I have to stretch it out just a tad, or else it's kind of hard to see. Come on. Thank you. If I make it wide enough, then as you can see, it takes up. I did have an HTML file for it, but it keeps telling me. I know that some other people have had problems with that too, with the Java applets. Notice if I put in something that's less than 18 or greater than 70, so less than, I just literally threw that stuff in there. That's telling you that you had invalid input. Same thing if I make it over 70, so I put 74 in here, same message. All right. If I put something non-numeric in it, it just says invalid input, program terminating, and it does. All right. So again, this is the applet. I'll go over with you in just a second the app. So if I do come in there and I put in my age and click that, you see I get the values. Okay. What I tried to do, and actually I'd like to say, man, I planned this, and what was this great? No. It was a freak of nature that I ended up with 6 iterations of this, but basically what it shows between the 6 iterations are both classes. The beginning Java class morphing into the advanced Java class, kind of morphing into the class you're in right now, really. All right, I guess 3 classes. All right. Now, that's that one, so I'm not going to say anything else about that. This is my, does it look familiar? I basically stole it from the one we were working at. Now, I know that Teresa had asked, and I don't know if she got any further with it or not, but literally what I did was this handout that I gave you. And I don't know if you remember this, but I gave it to you last semester that just had every step that you were supposed to go through, and that was the steps for the tip calculator. I just followed those. All right, because I figured that would be the easiest way to do it. And I came in and I did make some changes. And I wish it would work because I wanted to show you a couple things. And again, believe me, it's not great. All right. And right now, I had the seek bar that's in here, and I don't know what happened to that, but I have the seek bar that's in here set kind of funny. All right. And I guess I can try to set that one to fill parent also. All right. But when I come in here and I try to run it, and I drag up, I thought that was what I was supposed to do. I've never had to do that before, ever. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I want to stop this because I just made a change. I want to save the change. Yeah, I know, but not with this amulet, not with the one I've got. And I try to keep it big. That's why I set it to 6 and just left it off. I want it big so you can all see everything that's in here. But I don't want to waste too much time. So while this is loading up, I want to run through the code that's in the program. Okay? So I'm just going to leave that there and let it sit for a couple minutes. And I want to look at the code that's in here. Again, not saying that this is the best program ever. I should go sell it. Not at all. All right? I wish I would have had more time to spend on it than I did. But I wanted to show you a few things that I did. All right? First of all, I wanted, I had all sorts of problems. And then I figured out it's because by default, we were taking those variables, and these weren't a problem, but this one was a problem. Because if you looked at the example, the one that we did with the tip calculator, we set seek bar in a routine. We didn't set it outside of the routine. So it was giving me an error. So I had to set it out here, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to set it to anything, so I thought, well, what about no? And it appeared to work okay. All right? So I put in here, a minimum age and a maximum age. The constant that I used, because that was part of the formula, and this was the percentages you were supposed to use for min and max. Hopefully, is there anything in here? I'm asking. I don't know. Is there anything in these lines here that you can see on the screen from 37 to 50 that don't make sense? Anything that you need explained in there? Hopefully it's fairly self-evident. You'll notice on the handouts that I gave you, it starts at number 2 and it goes to 22, because I suppressed writing the comments, all right, just to try to save a little bit of paper. Okay. Then what I did was, and we haven't gotten into this part of the book yet, and I don't even remember if he talks about it in the book or not, but I put a toast in here. Some of you may have used toasts before. And literally all this toast is, if we can get it to work, all this toast is on the bottom of the screen. If you looked at the interface that was in here, when I click this button here that says THR Info, it brings a toast up in the bottom corner of the emulator. And it says this is only designed to work with ages 18 through 70. All right? I just put it in there like that. All right. So let's see. So I built the string that I wanted the toast to say. I just built it as a string. And I thought this was interesting too, because I set it up like this, okay? But I didn't do this. I didn't make it a final string, because strings are supposed to be immutable. But if I didn't do it like this, in other words, I tried to take this TS and put the TS inside of here, and it came back and it said you can't do that. Your string wasn't a final. So I literally copied it into a final and then used it, and it was okay. And it had been a while since I've even used toast, so I just Googled it and grabbed one of the examples that they put on. So again, this is just what I want that to say. All right. And here I'm creating this button, and I called it Info Toast. And then I had a problem because, like I said, I went and copied it, literally, the code, and then started making changes to it. And I did this, and it came back and it said, set on click listener doesn't support a view component. All right? And I don't know about you, but I've gotten things like that before, and normally what that is what it means when you go there is that you've got an import statement that you haven't added. And I didn't add that import statement. All right? But the funny thing is, normally when you go to that help, it shows you that as one of the options. It didn't show that. I had to just Google, and I was hoping somebody else got this error. Somebody said, oh yeah, some weird thing, just import android.view.on-click-listener, boom, and it worked. All right. What a wonderful thing. I'm sure there's more than one way of doing it. Yeah. All right. Then these are my text views, so I set them up. And this was that age seek bar that I mentioned before. Again, this is very similar to what we did. What I used for a pattern here was very similar to what we did in the tip calculator. But in the tip calculator, we were putting everything into that edit text, and I don't have an edit text in here. All right, so I took the stuff and basically just moved it into my seek bar changed routine. You'll see that in just a minute. So this routine right here is where basically, for lack of better words, where all the magic happens. All right? And the thing that I liked about it, I was able, as much as possible, I was able to use the same stuff that I used in the earlier programs that were not Android apps. That's what I wanted to get across to you. All right, so I put a little comment here that has what each of the variables is and what it stands for. What I tried to set it up for was that when you're dragging the seek bar back and forth, if you go below 18 or you go above 70, it should just change what goes inside of all of those labels that are in there, just to consult your physician. All right. Now, Mark had asked about this before, so this is the part I wanted to go through. Literally, what is, that should make sense what that's doing. That's grabbing whatever that is in that progress bar, which by default is an int. All right, so I'm grabbing from the seek bar, I'm using get progress to get where it currently is, and I'm assigning that to age. All right, then I want to take that 220, which was that constant, and subtract age from it, and that's calculating my maximum heart rate. All right, and then I want to take what I just figured out there, that maximum heart rate, and multiply it by the minimum percent, which is 0.5, and the maximum percent, which is 0.85. Again, I'm just following the requirements as laid out in the book, that's all. All right, and if you notice, when I did this, I made these both doubles. It's kind of what you were talking about, Mark. Not exactly, but kind of what you were talking about. And then, so these are both doubles. But then I ran the math.round function on them and converted them to integers. So in other words, if the maximum number of beats per minute was 138.4, it would be 138. If it was 138.5 or above, it would be 139. That make sense? All right. And then I kind of cheesed here. Okay, I probably could have done it in a much better way than I did it, but I basically just said, if the age is less than 18 or greater than 70, just set the text for the 3 text fields that I have in here. So these 3, just set them to consult your physician. All right. This is going to always, and I probably should have made a label or something to show the age. Maybe that was like I said, I didn't spend nearly the time on this I'd hoped to spend. And otherwise, do all this. And the funny thing is, when I was working with this, that's an int, and that's an int. And I was having the darndest time running 2-string on it. It didn't like it. No matter what I was doing, it just said no, basically, and the error message was terse. So again, I Googled. Somebody said, well, you want a real cheesy, crummy way, is literally just take an int and add the empty string to it, and now it's a string. All right? And then it worked. But without it, it didn't work. And that was just the other methods that you had to implement. So now, what do I do now here, Travis? I don't remember if I started to run if I actually ran the project yet or not, so I think I should do that. Yeah, right click and choose run as, you mean, right? Yeah, that I do. Okay, no, that's, sure, this I always do. Run as Android application. But on here, now the key is there, or the lock. Should I be able to drag up and run it already? But you wouldn't believe how long I let it sit here this morning. We're talking over a half an hour. And when I started doing it, the first time it loaded this morning, 2 or 3 minutes. And that's all I got otherwise, was that message right there. What is it? Control, is that F? Oh, Control F11? So notice if I click here, let me move this over a tad. If I click on the info, there's the toast. And toasts are designed to be very short, sweet, succinct little messages. Mine was probably too long, but I set it to long. And I know there's a way that you can do it. I could have made it even longer. I could put a timer in there. But I put that in there. And then, so let me, notice I don't even know why I put the calculate button in there. I was thinking about that later because I really didn't need it. So again, I got the age. Notice it's under 18. It's above 18. It's above 70. Does it make sense what I did? And all I wanted to show you was, you know, again, especially for those of you who may have been struggling, good, bad, or indifferent, one of the things we're doing today in the iOS class is we're going to watch a video in there. And it's not a Dytel video. All right? It's by the guy who I gave you some of his stuff last semester. It's this Code with Chris guy. But it's a half an hour one, and he explains auto layout much better than I ever did. And I'm not too proud to say, if I think you can get something out of it, great. All right? So like I said, I really didn't need the calculate button, so I could remove that. I actually could have put something here, you know, even another label that said your current age is or something like that. That probably would have been a cleaner thing to do. But as far as I know, it works. Okay? At first, I've even got it, and then I left it at home. And I don't think it's on either one of my flash drives. But I even was going to put, I've got a, it didn't work. You can actually go out to Google Images, and they have a beating heart. And I was going to try to load that to see if it worked, but it just didn't like it when I tried playing with it. All right, but so I just got like a thing like a heart with the lines running through it and stuff. I was going to change that. I just didn't. But you can see at least, you know, that was the idea. It works. Yeah, not perfect at all, but it works. All right, questions? Are people making progress? Have people, by and large, you know, have you got a good start at least on the first one, on the miles per gallon? Because the idea with that one was, you know, again, interface aside, the idea with that one was that the code shouldn't have been very tough. Really. Just because of that, I mean, what do you have? You've got two inputs, and you've got one output, right? And the only thing I asked you to do was, you know, somehow, you know, either use a seek bar or something else, status bar, whatever, or slider, whatever you want to call it, or do something just to make sure that you handled it if there was no input or if it was non-numeric. But again, you should have been able to set it up so it was a numeric keypad. And if you set it up for a numeric keypad, then the only thing you really had to worry about was no input whatsoever. All right? So you could either use some kind of a seek bar or else handle it that way, whatever. All right? So this afternoon in the other class, there's a few things I want to show you first, and then we're going to look at the video's about 30 minutes long. Like I said, I thought it was very well done. All right? And then he explains what I wanted to do but couldn't get to work very well on the guessing game program. So when he gets done with his video, I'm going to say, okay, now we've got about an hour left. Try to implement what he said, and I'm going to do the same. Okay? That's all for this class. I'm so proud. Like I said, I think I'll change it right now, so it'll probably just put down age right there, and it'll actually put it in